This is Ham House. It's a magnificent 17th century Stuart house on the banks of the River Thames at Richmond in West London. It's seen political intrigues, it's seen the making and losing of fortunes, and nowadays it's run by the National Trust. It has 16 ghosts, and 3 of them are dogs. It was in this garden at Ham House that one of the most amazing First World War ghost stories of the National Trust happened. Leon Tolemache was the heir to his uncle and would have inherited Ham House. He was serving in the trenches in France. One morning an elderly gardener working in this garden saw Leon in his full uniform standing in the middle of the garden, standing motionless. The old gardener raced back to the house saying, the young master's back, he's back from France. Was told he must have made a mistake. 3 days later, they got a telegram. Leon had died in the trenches. He'd gone missing the morning that he appeared to the gardener. A ghost story associated with this side of Ham House is a very sad one. It dates from 1792. In that year, John McFarlane, a young man related to the family, was staying in the house and conceived a major passion for the housemaid. She would have nothing to do with him. She knew which side her bread was buttered, and she was going to marry the house steward. John McFarlane, his ghost is occasionally seen walking along here, hands in his pockets, deeply dejected. On one particular night in late January 1792, John McFarlane, in total despair, jumped from the 4th window along, crashed to the ground, and died on the terrace. His groans can still be heard, his falling scream can still be heard, and the sobbing of the maid can still be heard on the anniversary of his death every year. There are 16 different ghosts at Ham, and 3 of them are dogs, and one of them I saw on my last visit here. There's a very small dog occasionally seen scurrying down corridors, running ahead of groups of people. Visitors often complain that they've been forced to leave their dog in the car park in the car, but somebody else has been allowed to bring theirs in. It's some kind of King Charles Spaniel, but with a pointy nose, and the last time I was here, I saw it running across an open doorway. Interestingly, its bones have been found in the garden within the last 10 years, and you can see them on display in the house and in the painting. Here in the long gallery, a large group of psychic investigators were spending the evening, and they were amazed to see, appearing through that door while it was closed, a bejewelled hand which waved at them and then disappeared. It's one of those stories that could do with a little bit of verification. This room used to be a dining room. It's now one of the galleries in Ham House, housing some magnificent portraits, including this beauty, which is of Lady Carteret by Sir Godfrey Kneller. Lady Carteret and her small spaniel. Here we are on the third step of the famous stairs at Ham House. This magnificent staircase rises 2 stories, and it's on this staircase that the Duchess of Lauderdale's ghost is most frequently seen. Whenever she comes down from the upper stories, she's preceded by the most amazing smell of oil of roses. This scent wafts down the stairs, and people who live here know that that means the Duchess is shortly to be seen on the staircase. The interesting story here is that so many people have heard the sound of footsteps descending these stairs late in the evening, and they sound as though they're the Duchess of Lauderdale doing her rounds. Interestingly, if she does come down the stairs, witnesses have said that later they've heard her going back up again. It was in this room, very small, very dark, very intense, that the Duchess of Lauderdale spent a week with the body of her second husband. She refused to let it be buried. This room has quite a history, as you might imagine. It's one of the key focal points of the house for ghostly activity. And on many occasions, the figure of the Duchess has been seen coming down the stairs just outside and turning into this room. First time I came here, which was about 10 or 12 years ago, before I worked for the National Trust, I knew nothing about the history of the house. Came into this room with my sister through the door and literally felt as though I'd instantly got a blinding headache, like a migraine. The pressure was sort of intense across my forehead, behind my eyes. And I had also a great sense of personal grief and loss. And I was bewildered by this, and I stepped out thinking, I don't like the atmosphere in this room, and the headache instantly evaporated. Lots of other people have commented on similar experiences in this room, and in fact, both myself and some of the crew are starting to get a bit of a headache now. Recently, some specialist workmen were working at Ham House during the winter when the house is closed to the public. They came into the chapel late in the afternoon. They locked it up when they left. Following morning, they came in first thing and were staggered to discover on this handrail, in the dust, the imprint of a small woman's hand. My name's Sian Evans. I used to work for the National Trust, and I spent 8 years travelling around the country investigating ghost stories at National Trust historic houses and castles. I've written a book. It's called Ghosts, Mysterious Tales from the National Trust.